All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us for RT broadcast panel. That's a good way to start. How many of you guys were here last year at our panel? Oh, awesome. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate it. As you can see, our team has grown. So what I want to do first is introduce or let everyone who's on the staff introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about what they do for the staff or for broadcast, and then we'll play a short video so you can see what we do. And then we're just going to open it up to the floor and take your questions and talk about what it's like to bring you live shows every week. So let's start at the very end.
All right, no pressure. I'm Nick Schwartz. I do the audio, and since Mike has been there, I don't run it so much live anymore, but I'd make sure everything's good for the website and for all of our posted shows.
I'm just going to use this one. Oh, cool.
All right.
So if anything's wrong with iTunes, it's Nick's fault.
You can tweet at me and just let me know. I'll fix it. Or not. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Peyton. I am the broadcast editor, and I also run graphics on occasion.
Peyton is responsible for putting together free play every week.
There you go.
And Shane.
I'm Michael Lindblad. I'm the technical director, so I'll switch between the cameras for the live shows, and if the stream's ever going down, me and Patrick are one of the main twos trying to get it back up. So that's about it.
He's also your pre-stream entertainment.
I'm Shane Gordon. I'm relatively new to the staff, but I'm the broadcast videographer, and I'm also an editor.
I'm Gavin Cantrell. I'm the assistant director for the broadcast department, which basically means I help coordinate and fill in for Patrick when he's not around. And I'm also the main lighting guy, so tweet me if the lighting seems off ever during a live stream.
And they will.
I'm Justin Young. I'm the broadcast graphic designer. I've been trying to run, I think, graphics for all the shows, all the live shows, and I do a lot of the graphics for theater mode and some other stuff. Here's in half-wits.
He designed the treadmill penis.
That was still the worst thing you've ever done.
My name is Mike Pirtle. I am the new, Jess and I actually were hired on the same day about, a month ago?
Yeah.
I'm the new audio engineer, so I work with Nick, making sure you hear everything, and we're trying to make sure that gets even better as the days, months, and years go along.
I'm Tyler Stab. I work with Nicholas primarily. We build all the sets, operate cameras, and occasionally do promo items for you guys.
My name is Mariel. I produce free play and help produce on the spot, and then do all of like the ad stuff that you guys see on all of the shows, and help out on the podcast and all sorts of that stuff. So.
My name is Tyler. I'm a producer, and that's pretty much it.
Tyler is responsible for On the Spot now. He's the producer for On the Spot. Yeah. So. Don't sell this up short. And then this guy over here, who is our loner, our rebel, is our floor manager. That's Nicholas. And I'm Patrick. I wrangle these cats. So for those of you who came last year, I think I told you that we were about to grow in size, and as you can see, we have, and we haven't stopped growing, just like the rest of the company. So it's been an interesting year, to say the least. We now have, Mariel and Tyler. Mariel is kind of our big sister. She kind of takes care of us, and when we're hungry, she calls favor, and when we need a cake from HEB, she runs there, and I mean she's just constantly taking care of us, and she's kind of our big sister, and so it's kind of a neat little situation that we have here. We have people from all different backgrounds coming together to put together this department that's making these live shows for you guys every week, and sometimes it goes smooth, and sometimes it's live TV or live internet, and it's not as smooth. But if we can start killing the lights, if we can start, thank you. Whoa.
Ooh. Cool.
Wow. By the way, when these come back up after the video, they're going to be really bright, I've been told, so you might want to close your eyes. But this is a look at what we do every week.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Receipt Podcast. Heroes and Halfwits, episode 3.
That was some next level. Put your phone down the second one.
Hello, welcome to the patch.
I'm your host, John Rice, and you're welcome on the spot.
Gavin, take it away. Yeah, Gavin? You want fireworks?
Cut to that camera.
Then boom, you're on camera. You're not looking at the camera. There it is. It's looking right at you.
See you later.
Come on! No!
We're cleared.
We can bring the lights back up, please.
Lights to 100, please.
Here it comes.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yeah.
Oh, that's where it is.
Boy, that's 2 a.m. kind of light right there. So that's a little bit about what we do. What you don't see in that video are all the meetings and all the prep that that happen while this is going on. I'm constantly amazed at what these guys are able to do. I'll walk out and not even 30 minutes later walk back in and a new set is already there and ready to go. So, you know, it's a constant motion that we're in, and it's so cool. And hopefully you got a good feel for what it's like. So, with that being said, the video was put together by Shane, our newest guy, and I do want to give him a little shout out because I found out this week that Shane came to us from Fox, and I found out this week that Shane has been nominated for an Emmy for some work he's done. So. And no one on the crew knew that, so I wanted to wait and make it a special announcement. So what we're going to do now is open up to you guys and take your questions, because we want to know what you want to know from us. And so who has a question? I want to play Oprah and go out there.
What's the biggest technical mishap that's happened while live?
Michael, I don't know.
I'd probably have to say in one of the most recent podcasts, nothing we could see was wrong, but we were coming into some sort of network technical issue, and we just couldn't get the podcast out clear and in high enough definition, and we tried every which way. We updated our system while we're live, and we did everything we could to try and redo the system to get it online, and I think it took us an hour and a half.
Yeah, it's a podcast, RT podcast that I think it was about 4 weeks ago. I'm sure 4 weeks ago. Thank you. I knew somebody would know. About 4 weeks ago, and we got not even maybe 10, 15 minutes into it, and our software just started crashing. And I mean, there was nothing we could do. We tried everything. We, like Michael said, we updated the software right there. We just killed it, updated it, got it back up, and it just wasn't working. So that's probably the biggest crash we've experienced since I've started working here 3 years ago. So that was pretty bad.
So obviously your guys' work hours are a little bit different than the usual 9 to 5. So I was wondering, what time what's your usual day like? Because your streams are obviously in the evening and nighttime. So what time do you guys usually get in, and how do you start your day before, to get ready for your streams?
Nicholas, do you want to take this?
Oh, he's got it.
Our days suck. Typical day is we get in at 10, and then it depends on the day. Monday's obviously our long day. We work till 10, 10:30 sometimes. It depends on what's on Tuesday, but typically it's 10 to 10 Monday. Most days isn't too bad. It's 10 to 7, 10 to 8. That's pretty much our normal. There's days where we don't have any shows that are live, so we get out early. But as far as what we do when we come in and set up, we just come in. If a set needs changed out that day, that happens in the morning. We do that as quick as possible so we can go through the run-through and everything, get tech done. As far as these guys, they usually start editing as soon as they come in. So that's pretty much what the day is like.
Yeah, Nicholas is in charge of, as the floor manager, he's in charge of the schedule and making sure that the sets are in place so we can start rehearsals when we need to and that sort of thing. So he's really a big part of the organization. Stab helps out. I mean, what Mariel and Tyler do is they get all the creative part ready for us, and they let us know, hey, this is what we're going to do on the show this week. This is what we have to accomplish. This is what we have to get ready. These are the props that we need. These are the redemption challenges we need to test. So it all kind of starts a puzzle that just moves and starts, sometimes most of the time at 10. We've started as early as maybe, I think, 7, but not too bad.
So I have some production experience. I mean, I work on a show. It's no one watches it. But what experience did you guys have before coming to Rooster Teeth? I mean, I just heard someone worked for Fox, and that's obviously a huge network. But did some of you just come straight out of one college show, or was years required?
Justin, what do you start, and everybody just kind of go around?
Before I started here, I had done some motion graphics jobs before, but my last job was at actually a megachurch in Dallas, and I suggest that if you want to get into broadcast, we did web broadcast, TV show, all that different stuff. So that was a great experience getting into all those different things, and that's what I took into here.
Yeah, you should
So
see
that's
their
my-
redemption challenges.
That's where I came from.
Good one.
Thank you.
That came out the wrong way. Before working at Rooster Teeth, I've lived in Austin for about a decade now, and I went to film school at UT, right up the street, and worked at the local PBS affiliate and Longhorn Network, which is kind of ESPN, but just for UT. Worked in theater too, doing a little bit of everything, which is kind of what we do at Rooster Teeth. We all do so many different things, whether it be setting up sets as well as editing, or, well, right now you just mostly do motion graphics. But we all do so many different things all the time that having a lot of various experiences is really good.
Yeah, Gavin's being modest. He was the lighting director for ACC, which is one of the biggest community colleges here in Austin, for their theater department. And he was also on the crew of Austin City Limits, the TV show, if you're familiar with that. So he had a wealth of knowledge coming in.
Yeah, I worked at Fox for about 10 years off and on, New York City, shooting for So You Think You Can Dance, productions like that, editing for the Food Network. But my biggest background is in video journalism for the various networks, Fox, ABC, NBC.
My previous experience was just a collegiate live stream. They were just building up. The channel was new even when I was a student, and by the time I got there, they were still just building. So it was just small things, but they wanted to grow, and they did a lot with live streams. So it's not the amount of people that view, it's the amount of live streams you go through, it's the amount of experience you get, and through that, they wanted to grow the experience. So I just did a lot of live streams, a lot of small ones with the university, maybe professors talking, a guest coming in, small stuff like that.
Yeah, when I started the interview process with Michael, he called me. I asked him to call me, and he did. And I could tell he was on the road, and I'm like, so where are you going? He goes, oh, I have to set up a 3-camera live stream. I'm like, oh, how big is your crew? He goes, no, it's just me. I'm like, yeah, this is the guy we need to bring on.
So most of my experience is actually here. I did a little bit of stuff with a student TV station at UT called TSTV, but then I got an internship with Rooster Teeth, and that's basically where most of my experience came from. But I've even just in that short time, I learned a ton, and I'm still learning all the time, which is cool.
Come on in.
At the tail end of college, I joined TSTV as well and actually did a couple of radio shows for KVRX, which is a student-run radio station. And then out of college, I got hired onto a radio station that changed ownership through the years. It started out as a sports talk ESPN radio station and then continued to change until it became still a sports station, classic, and then also a country station. So out of that, I was able to learn some stuff about audio background and mixing and things like that, and how to edit properly. And that's what led Patrick to me, I guess.
I think I'm actually the oldest guy on the staff. Yeah, I am. I've been in radio. I worked in radio for about 25 years. I started out. I built the student radio station at UT with a crew of about 5 other guys. And then it became what he worked at. And then I worked in radio for several years as a news reporter, as an engineer, as a live producer. I've mixed live music sessions for everybody from Willie Nelson to the Jonas Brothers. That was weird. Very weird. And I used to freelance. I traveled around to do NFL football and college football and other sporting events on the radio. And I built podcast stations for people that wanted to do podcasts in their house. Not video podcasts, but audio podcasts. So Tyler and, Nick and Tyler, they're sitting the other way, introduced me to Patrick for a project, and then that's how I got involved in this. And they actually wanted to pay me, which is different from radio, so it was great.
That's true.
So I graduated from Full Sail last year in 2015, and right out of the gate, I was just doing documentaries. I was doing any kind of reality TV I could get my hands on, and pretty much just went through there, just back and forth as gripping and PAing, and then I got a email back from my school, and Patrick had picked my resume out of a couple dozen people, and next thing I know, I'm driving from Orlando to Austin with like only $3,000 in my account and trying to make an internship work. But yeah, a lot of my experience comes from just peeing and gripping very small shoots to very large reality TV shows for WWE, Cooking Network, just about any kind of setup for reality TV.
I went to UT and did like the whole TSTV thing, which is great. It's like a great resource to have there if you go to UT. And then after that, I had a few internships, and I interned at Sony, and I got to work on like a lot of creative development there. And then came to intern at Rooster Teeth, and haven't really left. So that's what I've been doing.
Radio is kind of the name of the game for me and a few other people. As Mike said, I used to work with Nick. He and myself used to host a weekend show. We were producers, did production for our radio station for a better part of 4 to 5 years. Mike Pirtle, actually, over here, is the first person who like taught me anything about radio. So like, it's crazy to come like full circle. But yeah, that's what I did for better part of 4 years, was just working radio, and then literally just kind of, I guess you found my resume somewhere. I don't know. I interviewed well, I guess, and then like I got the job, so now I'm here. But yeah, it was a good lesson for like not burning bridges. You know, I'm still best friends with Nick, and you know, having Mike here is one of the coolest things. So yeah.
Let's see, what did I do before I got here? I went to film school, and then I did a lot of freelance work. So I worked on film sets and commercials, music videos, all that fun stuff. I ran camera for a couple sports teams in Pittsburgh, and I was an electrician, and I was a general contractor, and that's basically the extent of my experience. Yeah, I was a firefighter, but that has nothing to do with this, so nobody cares.
Actually, it does, and the reason why I bring that up is because when I looked at each one of these people at bringing them on, Gavin has kind of touched on it, that we all do so many things, is that for me, what I look for in a resume is how does your experience, all of your experience, play into what we need from you in our department. So Nicholas, for instance, because he was a firefighter and because he had electrician experience, I knew as a production assistant, which is what we brought him in as, and I knew that he would know organization, and I know he would know safety, and working with power, which a lot of us don't know, except maybe Gavin. Yeah, exactly. So you know, that sort of thing, and so that's what I kind of look for in each person. Stab here, Stab interned with us, and we really didn't have a spot for him when his internship finished, but in the last 3 weeks that he was with us, somehow he got stuck on graphics, doing live graphics, and he was great at it. And it was like, that's what he can do for us. And so all of a sudden we had a place for him, and we created something. So you know, everyone's background has led them to what they're building for us here. So, and my background is much like Mike's, 25 years in television, worked for a CBS affiliate for 14, a Fox affiliate for 7, did a lot of odd jobs in between when I was sick and tired of TV. But I was ready to get out of television, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then RT found me, and we created this. So I think you were next. Yeah.
So this one's more for Mariel and Tyler. What has been the most either challenging or entertaining thing you've got to produce? I'm assuming on the spot would be, or free play.
I can probably talk loud enough. For me, it was probably the Free Play 500 episode that we did. Oh, that baby's leaving, and I love that baby. I want to meet that baby later. Sorry, it just... I love that baby. Yeah, the Free Play 500 was super challenging for me because it was one of the bigger projects that I've ever worked on, and I think one of the most challenging parts was just that we had so many people from like different departments coming in, and like trying to wrangle Jeff and like actually convince him to do something is really, really hard. So we kind of had Meg like blackmail him a little bit. But yeah, that was probably like one of the harder projects that I've worked on, just because I was doing it all myself and just trying to like wrangle everybody, and also trying to like delegate duties to these guys. But it was also a lot of fun. If you guys haven't seen that episode, it gets crazy at the end. But yeah, that was probably like the most challenging thing that I've been working on so far.
I guess I could speak to like on the spot.
We put you in a dress.
Yeah, you put me in a dress. Yeah, that's the most challenging thing for me, is like getting in women's clothing. No, for me, and on the spot, I mean, number one, working with John Reisinger is just a nightmare. The guy's terrible. No, actually, on the spot is pretty challenging. You know, Patrick just kind of touched on it. Not only do all of us have a lot of skills and wear many hats, everybody in the company does. So doing on the spot is very challenging from a scheduling standpoint. It's also something where we don't script the show. I mean, it really is improv, but we try and cater it to a way that is gonna give somebody the opportunity to be the funniest. And so coming up with that on a daily basis is tough. And a lot of the times it's a ticking clock situation where somebody drops out day of, and we have to go find somebody to replace them, and now we have to replace material, and like, what are we gonna do now? And then figuring out on a weekly basis what we're gonna do for redemption challenges is always very, very difficult, because there's so much out there on the internet that has been done. We don't wanna be copycats, but we're always just trying to take it to the next level. Me wearing a wedding dress worked out pretty well. I guess we can kind of stick with that theme for a while. But both of those shows, you know, on the spot and free play are very difficult. Just there's so much that goes on behind the scenes that you guys don't see, and it takes a village. So.
How much harder would it be to fit a new live stream show into your schedule, and what would the process be like? Yeah.
Well, starting this year, we started what's called a green sheet process. And I'm sure you guys have heard us talk about it on podcasts and something gets greenlit, or we're waiting for it to get greenlit, that sort of thing. Used to, if we had an idea for a show, it'd be like, hey, let's do this. In 2 weeks, there it is. You know, we'd throw it together. But now it's more about, okay, how do we do this? Who's going to get involved? As Tyler was mentioning, scheduling is hectic because there's so much going on at the company now that we're all being stretched in different ways. I mean, you know, Mariel and Tyler, they're producing, but they also are in a bunch of stuff now. So that takes them away from us. They were gone pretty much all day working on immersion. The process now is that someone makes an official pitch for a show. We have a meeting about it. We talk about it. You know, is this something that our community wants? Is this something that'll help us grow? Production-wise, can we handle it? You know, we talk about all that. And then we try and figure out how to get it into our schedule. You know, the past year or so, we've tried a lot of different shows. Some have hit, some haven't. And some have just been kind of like, we love this show, but we don't know exactly what to do with it. And so it's been a lot of experimenting for us, especially in the live broadcast section, because we're the newest department in the company. Up until last year, there were 4 of us in the department. So, you know, we're trying to figure everything out and bring shows to you guys that you guys really want to see and really can get behind. So it's quite a process now. But I think it's going to bring shows that you guys are going to love from the get-go.
So technically 2, but I'll do them quickly. The first one was, how difficult was it doing a live stream every day in that period where we had the podcast, then sports ball, the patch on the spot? And then how difficult was it on top of that, having 2 on the Friday with off-topic and fan service?
That's what I like to call our dark period. It was a good, 6 months of that? And wow, that was a really tough time. It was really tough. It really was, because what was difficult about it, and I'll let some of these guys also chime in, but what was difficult was that we couldn't make a mistake, because as soon, like Monday night, we finished the show, we had to edit it, get it ready for release Tuesday morning, and then we had to turn around and get Sports Ball ready. Right after Sports Ball, get that ready for release the next morning, get the patch ready, you know, and it was just constantly like this. And if anything went wrong with the export, if anything went wrong with the planning of the show, and Sports Ball became, on Tuesdays, it became increasingly, we started putting a lot of production value into it and really, you know, putting stuff into the skits and stuff like that. And Peyton, that was probably really rough on you.
Yeah, that was just because Sports Ball, On the Spot, and then Fan Service were all super graphics and media heavy shows. So it would just be this constant scramble to get media and graphics assets in on time for the show. And a lot of that you had to rely on other people to send you. So like the animation department are super busy, and so they usually didn't get around to sending us stuff for fan service until like last minute. And so it just became this big scramble to get everything in on time, and it was quite hectic. So me and Stab ended up splitting a lot of that, and that's where he started to shine, and that's where I think
we also had to balance free play in there as well, because we were still shooting it 2 times a week. And on top of that, it was still when we were doing a weekly episode of Game Club. So we'd have to switch out the patch set, which isn't too much different from Game Club, but still, you'd have to tear down Sports Ball, set up everything ahead of time, then tear that down and make sure everything was set, make sure everything sounded good, and then if anything went wrong with the exports, like Patrick was saying, or if anything went wrong with the audio or the iTunes side, there just wasn't enough time to go back and check exactly where it went wrong. So it was always a scramble to stay ahead of the game.
The best part, though, was free food, because we would work during lunch. Remember that?
Yeah, so it was tough all the way around.
And this question is more for like Mike and Patrick, who've been in the business for a while. And like at some of my stations, they were reluctant to move from reel to reel. How has it been changing from stations that might be reluctant to move from reel to reel or VHS or discs to somewhere that like prides itself on staying kind of up to date on the latest tech?
It's really difficult. It's really difficult because I'll speak for TV, and I'll let Mike chime in for radio. But for TV, you're working with an industry that has been established since the 1950s, and they've invested all this money and all this equipment and everything. And for you to come in and say, I think we need to go digital, and like, tape is just fine. We got plenty of that. Let's just stay with that. So it's difficult to change minds and turn things around. Things are going digital slowly. I know when TV switched over to HD, just switching over to HD, it took 5 years. Yeah. And even when the first 4 or 5 years that we switched over at Fox, what you were watching on TV wasn't really HD. We were shooting on 480, but stretching it to HD because they didn't want to spend the money to get HD cameras. So they found a loophole of how to get it to you and not make it look that bad.
Yeah, the biggest part of all that, unfortunately, comes down to money. And, for the years I worked in radio, we were always coming up saying, hey, look, this is really cool. We can do this now. And they would look at me and say, well, this still works. But we can do this now. No, this still works. And so that's pretty much what you're fighting against. And I've gone from a place where we use reel-to-reels, and I even worked at a radio station for a while where we had turntables, playing shows on the weekend, and this is not that long ago, to now where everything's on a little chip this big, you stick in the recorder or whatever, and everything's on a computer. When I started in radio, we used carts, which I don't know if you know what a cart is. It looks like an 8-track tape. I don't even know if you're old enough to know what that is. But everything we played was off of those. You had to hit a button and it plays like a loop of tape, and then you pull it out and you put in the next one, or you have 3 of them lined up. And now everything is, one computer does everything. Now the problem with that is that one computer dies and you're dead. You don't have all these other things to do. And a lot of times you have people, especially in radio business, which is tough right now because radio is having so many problems because of all the new media and things like that. So they don't want to put money in anything. So we have some issues in radio broadcast where the way we broadcast is changing. Some of the lines we use are going away, and everybody's panicking because we have thousands and thousands of dollars invested, maybe millions in this other technology. So now we have to move to the new thing. But I mean, the cool thing about Rooster Teeth is that they think new with a lot of stuff. So it's not. I mean, they don't just throw money out, haphazardly, but they do think that way, and so. There's not this, hey, we can't do that, we don't have the money. It's like let's see what we can do, and that's been great. So that's kind of one of the things we're doing now, and one of the reasons that I came in was, hey, let's see how much better we can make it, and it's great. And the fact, I don't know how these guys did this with 3 or 4 people. That's just crazy. But I'll tell you, it's something I wanted to say about this that we talked about earlier. With all the stuff that's going on, everybody really pitches in and does their job and does it so well. I've gone to the bathroom and come back and a new set is up. So that's how good these guys are at getting this stuff done. And I'm really, really glad to work with this great group of people.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
And you just touched on this, on how fast the sets are between. So you mentioned during the dark times how it was just constant. Record something, tear down, build up. Record something, tear down, build up. Now, since it's been mentioned on podcasts that most of the sets are on casters where they can move around fairly quickly, what has the setup time been reduced to since those dark times? And Patrick, as somebody working in TV, I can affirm the statement, we are still in the age of Gordon Gekko.
Well, I'll talk about what it was, and then I'll let Nicholas talk about what it is now. When we first started, especially with the patch, there's an RT Life that shows us moving. The patch used to be on one big platform, the whole thing. And there's an RT Life where you actually see us with 2x4s just wedging it into place. So it was just to move the patch set into place and to get it all together was a good 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2-3 hours. Mariel did it with us too. When Tyler came in as floor manager, that was one of the first things I charged him with. I was like, you've got to make these things easier to move. And he figured out how to get, these big metal handles built. And, we would stick this big handle in and then we would push. And so, but we had to figure something out because I was starting to get a hernia. And no lie, I really was. I was starting to feel it, and I didn't want anyone else to get hurt. So one of the first things we did was break that set apart, took it off the platforms, and now everything rolls in, as you see. And that's why all the sets now roll in, and they're very modular. But how long does it take you?
Let's see. So like he mentioned, pretty much everything now is on wheels. The only set that isn't right now is free play, and that's not that hard to move in, but it's just takes 2 people. But on the spot's the biggest setup, and it just because of all the lighting and technology that's involved, as you've seen, the monitors behind them, the lights and everything, takes a long time. But we can have that set up hour and a half and be 100% ready to go. Most of the stuff, like right now, kind of sucks because the podcast is no longer on its stage. They're all individual pieces that have to be moved in, so that takes a little longer now. But most of them we can be completely set up and ready to go in an hour. So that's if the floor is clear, I can roll everything in and be ready to go in a half an hour. But if we have to clear stuff out, it's like an hour and a half for most of it.
Especially if we have to clean up confetti after a free play.
So I'm interested in going into broadcasting, and I'm curious, what are the worst parts of your jobs? Like, what should I not be looking forward to at all?
Whoa. That's a lot of pressure right at the beginning.
One sentence.
One sentence? Oh, worst part of the job. Let's see. Just turnaround time, I would say. Just having to be on your toes for any changes at the last second.
Yeah, similar thing. Just when you're on a tight turnaround and an export fails, and so like that delays the release of that show by like 4 hours or something. That's a nightmare.
Just keeping up with all the equipment and all the moving pieces. I mean, much like he said, your show's not just one thing. It's 100 different things, and keeping track of all of them is probably one of the hardest things you can do.
Yeah, definitely time management.
For live broadcast, at least, the hardest part is that there's no do-overs. You have to do everything right, live and right on time.
Or people on Twitter call you out.
What kind of broadcasting are you talking? You want to go into? You don't know yet. Okay, because it's different in different places. But yeah, I think the key thing there is with like Gavin said with the live broadcast is once it's going, you can't. Oh wait, we got to stop and fix this. You know, you can't do that. So if something happens, you have to deal with it the best you can, and then get ready to move on and fix it for post. But it's still going to be out there live with your name on it saying. Ooh.
Definitely, if you're like me and Peyton running graphics, it's not having all your media ready or haven't gotten it in time because you don't feel like you're at 100% and ready for the show. So you have to roll with it.
I think for us, it's just making sure like everything in the creative process has been done and that like our ideas are fresh and actually funny. So we try.
John Reisinger.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah, there's just too many people that are trying to do. Like you have to go through a lot of people to get one thing done, and it takes a lot of effort.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to say you can do all the prep work that you want to and think that you have it all nailed down. You've done the tech rehearsal, you've done the creative rehearsal, and then you get inside the show, and then someone, John Reisinger, someone on the show inevitably doesn't do their part. Whether it's because they just space out or whatever it is, they go off in their own way, and then there we go having to chase them, and it just breaks everything that you rehearsed and everything that you were ready for, and that can be frustrating. We've got a lot of them.
So I've been thinking about like how to word this for like the past half hour that we've been in here. So it's kind of like one of three ways. Would you recommend going straight into the workforce to be as well prepared as you can, or would you recommend getting like a general education and then getting some career experience, or getting like a super specialized education and then like to be prepared for a job like this?
Why don't we start at that end this time?
Okay.
Talking to your mic. Thank you. I would probably say the first one. Do whatever. Get as much as you can under your belt.
Get a general education, and a good one at that.
Yeah, general education and real world experience. Specializing. Technology moves so fast.
That was 10 words.
Connection.
Yeah, I'd say a combo of general education and experience, because like I learned a lot in school, but I learned more working on a set and doing all of this than I ever did in a classroom.
Education and experience. One more. Two more, three more. Internships, definitely.
One word, really?
Anytime.
Two. Experience and internship. That's
three.
Drop the hand.
Simultaneous education and work as best you can.
I agree with Stab.
Fuck school. I gotta go.
I can't follow that. Experience and network.
It's hard to do.
Kind of starting with a note, it's very comforting to hear so many of you come from collegiate broadcast backgrounds. But my question was, when it comes to something huge like the Extra Life stream, I mean, what's the planning timeline like on that? How far back or how early do you start planning and coordinating and wrangling the Hydra?
The day before. No, we usually start a month before. Michael, you want to tell him about that?
Well, I don't know too much about the planning, the background. If he says it's a month, it's about a month. But for me, I came in 4 days into it, and even still in that 4 days of just figuring out what was going on, still things are getting curveballed in. So it's almost not the size of the project, it's just how much stuff gets put in. And that can extend your work. Yeah, if it's 24 hours of an Extra Life stream, you're going to get a month's worth of work. But even if it's an hour-long sports ball show or any other show, you could still go through a week's worth of work just preparing.
This last Extra Life was probably the one that we did the most planning on because Screw Attack did the Amiibo cockfight, and they kept telling me, we're going to have fire, we're going to have this. I'm like, oh, fuck, we're going to burn down the studio. I mean, I was literally worried because they kept talking about how big this was going to be, and then they brought in this little flame, torch. And so that was, I think, the first event where I was on the floor instead of the control room because there was so many people and there was so many things going on that we're constantly, and if you saw it, you probably saw me out there like throwing tarps down when Michael and Gavin did their milk challenge and stuff like that. And it was just a constant moving, and a lot of that we didn't plan for. We had tarps ready, and we had buckets ready, and we were just like, okay, let's just see what happens. And that's the thing about live TV is that you can plan as much as you want, but you have to be ready for anything.
He's also the one that put the camera in the trash can after they finished.
You're welcome.
Best shot.
Y'all all sound like it all sounds like it's really planned out. So I'm assuming the stuff like there's a whole bunch of set pieces, but they probably don't. They all have a certain place. But what would you say is the biggest or most important thing set-wise that's ever been misplaced or unintentionally broken?
Stab, I think you can answer this one.
Oh, yeah.
Here you go, on this side.
I think it was Stab's first week as a full employee.
Yeah, it was my first week as a full employee, and as you've seen that on Free Play, if you watch, there's all these shelves that are in the background, and there's this little glass golden bar, and I'm just pushing it forward and just falls right off, and then everyone just blames me, which has now become.
It was totally your fault.
Everyone just blames me now, which is now the running joke.
Luckily, we haven't had too many mishaps. We're all really good about keeping on top of things and making sure things don't get broken. I'm shocked, nothing has been broken. I think you had one.
One of the most impressive things that I see when I do tune into your different shows is the lighting and how it seems to actually be pretty clean throughout. I wanted to know what the normal setup on your lighting is.
In terms of kind of the different instrument types or
yeah, the different instrument types, whether they're on C-stands or all up in rafters hung from the ceilings, and then if that's something you move before every show, or if they're just permanently there.
Yeah, so well, I've only been working here for almost 3 months, so I can't speak on how the studio got built originally, but currently we have a grid over the entire stage that's about 18 feet off the ground. And then we light mostly with soft fluorescent fixtures, and pretty much exclusively use those both for key and fill. Since I've started working here, I've hung a few additional lights that are you can change the colors on them. So we have colored backlights and things like that, but mostly soft light. because it's very forgiving.
Yeah, if you've noticed on the spot especially, the backgrounds are a lot more colorful and more richer. That's all Gavin's work. Everything is hung on a grid. That was the original plan. And back then, when we first built the grid, we only had 2 shows. That was the patch and the podcast. So we added all these shows. So basically what I would do before Gavin came in is I would just go up and I would just turn I would just turn lights in the direction that I needed to and just try and get it as evenly as possible. But then Gavin came in and he's taken a more technical approach to it, which is his background. So he's able to really get into it and program lights in a different way. And so things are really coming up. He's responsible for Heroes and Halfwits and the look that show has. If you notice, it's got a really cool, dark dungeon feel to it. And that's all Gavin.
Yeah, and I will add that if you are interested in television lighting, that one of the most important things to note is that it's pretty much directly between film lighting and theater lighting. So it's important to get experience in both those realms because live TV is basically just theater on cameras, I suppose. So it's a lot of adjusting levels of the lights from a console and kind of thinking of it in terms of multiple angles instead of just a single camera that's filming a very dramatic scene.
Okay, so we've got 10 minutes left, and I want to play a little game. We played this last year, and so it's a one hands-on portion that you can, not on us. So I brought this guy out. So we're going to play a little game, and if you get the answer, then you can take a selfie with it. So get your phones out. All right, so who can tell me what shows are currently showing live right now from Monday through Friday in order? You had your hand up first, so I'll give you a shot.
Monday is usually the podcast. Tuesday, I believe, you also have the No. Wednesday, Bob Saget. Wednesday, I believe you have On the Spot.
No, just Austin. Good question, though. Good question to all right, pick up from Wednesday, because you already know Monday.
Wednesday's the patch.
What's on Thursday?
Currently on Thursday is On the Spot.
And what's on Friday?
And on Friday at noon, you have Off Topic.
That's it. All right, so what is the third live show that Broadcast ever did? What is the third live show that Broadcast ever did?
Jump the gun a little bit.
The podcast? That's wrong, isn't it?
Oh, you gonna try again?
I believe it's the No.
The No's not live.
Oh, what?
This is cold.
It's not a game club, is it? No.
It's pre-taped.
The patch?
That was second. That was second.
Was it On the Spot?
That was it. Our third live show. Give the man the. What's up? No. Good call. Let's see. Does anybody have one? How long is the pre-stream usually before a show? 15 minutes. Yep, she got it. 15 minutes, unless there's problems. Okay. We also have Thor's hammer here. So that one will open up to anyone who wants to come and take a picture with it. Don't break anything, please. All right, last question. In sports ball, we sent Cole to a state, a racist state. What state was that? Yes. And I apologize. They're not racist. I'm just, sorry, Missouri. All right. I think you had a question, right?
During the podcast, how the hell do you pull up videos so fast when they start talking about them?
Usually I'm sitting there on the laptop, and I've kind of turned that over lately, but as they talk about things, I just start typing. I just start calling things up, and I'm usually lucky, but Justin's kind of taking that over.
I've been trying to take that over. I didn't get to answer earlier. The worst thing about this job is when you're doing the podcast or something like that, and they're talking about something ambiguous, and you start to bring it up, you find it, and you're like, fuck yeah. So you hit play, 30-second ad, and you just have to sit through it. And they're talking about it, and you're just sitting there like dying. Like, oh my gosh, please keep talking about it.
I'm just begging for that video. He's got it right there, and then it'll come up. Won't be the right video.
Yeah.
Sometimes these are. I know Patrick's also said before, and this is probably a good tip. There'll be times where they'll say pizza, Korea, something else, and he'll type up just those words, not search for anything else, and somehow he finds the right video.
Yeah, if you start typing out the sentences, it doesn't work. It's just like hit little words here and there. So glad you noticed, though. Any other questions? We're just out of time.
Given how fast and how big the department now is, how long until we have an RT broadcast podcast?
It's right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. We talk about. Yeah. Well, thanks. We'll see. We're trying to figure out how to bring more just regular podcast to what we do, and not just big shows. I kind of like, I don't know how you guys feel, but I kind of like just the regular podcast. It doesn't always have to be such a big production, and it's kind of what we do. It's what we're known for, and it'd be nice to have more regular shows like that, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some to you. Yeah. One last question in the hat. Okay.
Nope.
I second that.
Do it. Do it. Do it.
Do it. Do it.
There you go.
I'll agree to
There
that.
you go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well,
$1.
Michael used to be a swimmer, so I can't believe he's being so a competitive swimmer. So
Thanks, Patrick.
You're welcome. That's why I'm here. Damn! Save it for Extra Life. Save it.
It is fruit snacks. No.
All right, well, guys, we're
rules.
just about at time. We'll hang out for a little bit. Like I said, you can come by and take a picture with the hammer if you like. You can come by and take a picture with Gus. I don't care. He doesn't care. So thank you so much for everything and for being a part of this, and we'll see you around. Thanks.
Thanks, all.